All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. How are you all doing today? Um, Today I am here with Miss Victoria Reynolds, who's one of my soul sister light warriors. And Victoria is the author of 4 different books. She is a spiritual luminary. She has a business where she does one-on-one counseling, and her specialty is healing broken hearts. She's basically here to heal your heart and issue resolution, karmic healing, basically fixing anything that's broken, kind of like a universal mechanic, I guess you can say. And she does story healing, ascension activations, all kinds of different things that she does for people. But I have her on today because we are going to kind of talk to you all about what the situation is in our world right now with the political scenario in the United States and abroad, what's been happening. All of the different fear rabbit holes people are going through like crazy. Everybody's going down these fear rabbit holes. We're going to talk about that. And we honestly, Victoria and I just want to share with you today some tips to help you to get you guys all more into the fifth density love and peace vibration that we're headed into, because right now the energy in the collective is really, really, really low. And even people who are light workers, who are really high vibe people, are going through a lot of difficulties right now because of our scenario here in America. So today we are going to talk to you and welcome Victoria. I'm so excited that you're here.
Yeah, thanks. It's about time we get together on camera instead of just on the phone. Yeah.
Yeah, we have lots of wonderful conversations. So Victoria and I always bounce ideas and things off of each other because we kind of really complement each other. She has her guidance team and I have mine, and we get all sorts of information from our guidance, and when we meditate and when we're connecting with source and our angels. And it's just kind of interesting to see other light workers' perspectives of what's happening and where are we going and what do we do next. It's just really, really always wonderful to bounce those ideas off of each other, and especially when we're able to confirm each other's ideas. Don't you agree that it's always great, like when you share something with me and I can confirm, yeah, I got the same thing, or vice versa, because it's nice to know that everyone else is getting the same information. We're kind of like on the same sheet of paper. So
absolutely, it helps us know that we're not entirely crazy.
Right, exactly.
The same message. Because sometimes we wonder, right? It's like, am I the only person who has these gifts? And when we can bounce those off other people who are getting exactly the same message, is a confirmation that we actually are all well.
Yes, that is true. And especially when we have family members who are convicting us of being crazy woo-woo spiritual conspiracy theorists, Yeah. It's always nice to have that support system from our sisters and our brothers, right, who share our craziness, because we're just so crazy, right?
Yeah. And they just can't see what we see.
No, they can't see what we're seeing. They have no idea what it's like to walk in our shoes and to see it. And honestly, I don't know about you, but I feel it's a huge responsibility that I have and that you have, that we have, because we're ministering to people. I look at my work I do as a ministry and a healing ministry. Basically, when I'm working with people, I have a huge responsibility to get them all this information. And it's coming from such a high power, and our family members who don't even get it, like they have no clue what it is to walk in our shoes and have the responsibility to be helping all these people and changing their lives and impacting people's lives the way they do. They don't know how difficult that is. I mean, it's really, you have to be a warrior. It's really tough, to do this work, because we get persecuted. It's just like what Christ went through when, he was here and he walked the earth. We're all being persecuted right now. We're all being persecuted. And these people have no idea what that's like to walk in those, those shoes. It's really, interesting.
Yeah. And they really have no idea what we're doing. My daughter will say, what do you do all day? If you only knew.
Right. And being a truther too, just all of us that are being truthers, and we're out sharing the truth, and we're really, giving people the controversial information and all of that, that rattles people's cages and it pushes all their little buttons and sets them off and everything. It's not easy getting out there with that, with that information, but it has to be done because we have to wake up the masses and we have to get everybody into this fifth density so we don't stay in this third density fear-based cesspool of cabal anymore. We don't want to be there anymore.
Right. And it isn't even necessarily that we have to, but if we want to go to that next level, then we need to bring as many people as possible with us because we are all one humanity, right? So the more people who are envisioning this fifth dimension reality, the more people we have envisioning heaven on earth, the more people we have envisioning and wanting to move in that direction, the faster and the easier we get there. And so we can be in that space, you and me and, 144,000 light workers, but if the rest of humanity is still tugging on us from this lower dimension, it's going to be a lot more difficult for us to get there and stay there. Because there are a lot of us who have been in that 5D consciously. Staying there is what's difficult because we're constantly being pulled on by other people. So in order for us to stay there, and our job isn't to be there by ourselves anyway, right? We came here specifically to bring humanity up to the higher dimension.
And as a team too.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, and as a team, I mean, the one thing that God kept telling me for a long time is, Kimberly, you're not a lone wolf. You are here with the team and you're supposed to work with the team. And he keeps telling me that because I tend to be kind of like, I'm going to do it myself because I'm very independent. I'm very stubborn and I'm very independent and I want to do everything on my own. It's like, no, I can do it. I don't need help. But we do need help. We do need backup. We do need support. We do need help. And it's important for all of us to know that we have each other. We're all a big team.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a whole army of us.
Yeah. There is an army of us. And then we have these army warriors, these angelic armies that are leading our army on earth here. We have the angelic armies that are leading us and Archangel Michael, which is really cool. So yeah, it's exciting. So Victoria, I want to talk about kind of like what you think and what I think about what is going on right now on the earth, like what's going on with the politics in America. What do you think is happening? Like, what are you seeing with people reacting since the 20th, when they had the lovely little Luciferian ceremony that they performed with the upside down Bible and all that.
I didn't see that.
You didn't watch it when Mr. B.
I didn't notice that the Bible was upside
down. The Bible was upside down. He didn't even completely do it properly. And then when Miss H did her thing, she set her purse down on the Bible. Everything was done totally incorrect.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was all.
The only thing I really caught from that is that it wasn't the United States of America. Mm-hmm. It was just the United States.
Right.
I don't know how many people caught that, but I caught that a couple of times. I'm like, wait a minute. He's not being sworn in as President of the United States of America. He's only being sworn in as President of the United States.
Yeah.
It could be the United States of crazy. It means nothing. There's no such country as the United States.
Yeah, exactly. And then the fact that our capital isn't even really America. It's like a foreign place. It's basically
it's like the Vatican in Italy.
Exactly. It's just like the Vatican in Italy. And so he's basically the head of some foreign power that's not really the United States people. He's not in charge of the people, and he's not even in charge at all. The military's in charge.
So he is acting as president of the United States Corporation.
Right. Exactly.
And it's interesting. What I'm hearing right now is that he's just the acting president. He's not even the president of the corporation. He's just the acting president.
Mm-hmm.
So years ago, I want to say around 2013, I had a message come in that there was going to be disclosure of all of the corruption. I actually saw a vision of Trump back in the summer of 2012, and I didn't realize it was him because I saw the etheric vision of him and the description of him, but I didn't realize it was actually him until after he was inaugurated in 2016. And then I went, oh, that's the guy I had the vision about. And what I was told with him is that he was going to be coming onto the scene and was going to be playing a very important part in exposing the corruption. on our plan. And then months later, I got another message from the Guardians, as I call them, and that all of the corruption was going to start to be exposed, but they were going to do it over a long enough period of time that it would look like business as usual. And the reason they were taking so long to do it is because they didn't want people to go into mass hysteria. That's why over the last 10 years, this information has just been leaked out a little bit at a time, and people get frustrated that it's not happening fast enough.
Right.
But that it's intentionally happened that slow so that it feels like business as usual. So it just feels like normal evolutionary process. So people will just see it on TV and go, oh, okay, it feels like business as usual, even though it's not. And it's done that way intentionally to prevent chaos and mass hysteria.
Right. Yeah.
So slowly, now 2020 was a huge part of many people being exposed to the corruption because they were sitting at home under lockdown. You know, this is again the backfiring of the plan on the dark side, because they're putting everybody in fear and lockdown. And while we were in lockdown, a lot of people got access to the information that they didn't want people to have access to.
Right.
So what is left now is more of that being brought to the surface. And because so many of us already know the backstory, we will be prepared for when the masses start to see the information exposed. Be able to help them through that process because we've already been through it.
Right. You know what I really love? I really love the way Mr. T, don't say his full name because I don't want to get shut down here on YouTube, but we're using code language today, everybody, so that we don't get shut down on our station. But basically, Mr. T blows me away with how they are, what do you call it, punking or trolling? They're trolling the bad guys, you know, the black hats. You got the white hats and the black hats. They're trolling them. Like there was a coffin in the background in the one video of the White House. There was a person in front of the White House, and there was like a coffin that was behind them in the background. And then he's using numbers and gematria, and he's using, what he's doing is he's using all of their tricks that they've been using to ruin our lives. He's been using it against them. Like he's using their same stuff against them, which just cracks me up. Like the way these guys are going back and forth. It's like this dance, you know, it's this huge dance between the dark and the light. And it's just hysterical. But I was really, really let down at first. On the 20th, I had this emotional upset for a while. And then when I talked to my team, they calmed me down, and then I watched some videos that some of the truthers did. And then I was totally, you know, I realized it. And then my team said to me, if Mr. T would have done what I wanted to see, which is I wanted to see everybody arrested. Okay. I wanted to see the whole lot of all the bad guys arrested on major TV, broadcasted all over the world. I would have been like, yeah, party time. I would have been so excited. But if that would have happened, all of the radical left would have burned down all the cities. It would have been civil war. It would be radical left going crazy with riots everywhere in the streets, going into all the neighborhoods and doing who knows what, because they had planned that all out to do that. And so Mr. T had to be distanced from all of that, everything completely distanced and taken out of the picture completely. And the reason that he's so quiet and nothing exciting is happening is because they have a plan, and it's going to take a certain amount of time to keep him out of everything until the left is in a position where they're not going to fight back and say, oh, he's a dictator, he's a Nazi, he's you know, whatever, he's taking over we don't want him to get blamed, basically. We don't want him dragged into that and blamed, because then the radical people go crazy and then it's civil war. You know, we don't want that. So they're trying, if you heard him speak, he kept saying over and over again, peaceful transition. So they're really, really trying to focus hard on keeping it peaceful. And I keep having my guides whisper in my ears 24/7, trust the plan, trust the plan, trust the plan, trust the plan. I keep hearing it because I go into like a fear. I'm in fid density up here, and I keep getting taken down a notch, because my mind will go to like, oh my gosh, what if, and then I have to like listen to that voice that starts what they call that quiet small voice in my head going, trust the plan, pull myself back up into the density again. And it's not easy. Trying to maintain the density is so hard now, because I have opposition against me. I have people telling me I'm a crazy conspiracy theorist and I'm a woo-woo, blah, blah, blah. And I drank the Kool-Aid, and that I'm part of a Mr. T cult, and, all this kind of stuff. They're saying all this terrible stuff to me. And so it's really hard to stay up in that vibration. It's like a constant battle. Like I feel like I'm at battle like 24/7, it's really hard.
Yeah, so I don't have that quite so much. What I was told over a year ago is that Mr. T could not be part of the disclosure process, because if he were, that he would automatically be marked. He'd be compared to like Hitler and Lenin and those guys who came into power and then they just murdered all of their competition, right? So he needs to stay out of that in order for it to be believable. Which is why the military is now running the show. The military has been running the show for months.
Yeah.
And that they are the ones they're the only ones who are a neutral voice. What I was told easily maybe a year and a half ago, is that the disclosure had to come from a neutral, completely nonpartisan source. Otherwise, it would be considered not credible from both sides. The only source in our country that's not partisan is the military. So they're running the entire program. Mr. T has to stay out of the scene until the military is finished doing what they need to do. And the plan, trust the plan, is, remember, it's trusting the higher plan.
Right.
Not the circle with the line plan.
Right.
God's plan.
Yeah.
And the guardians have it. They keep telling me, look, we got this. The light has already won. All we're doing is watching it play out on the earth field, because what a lot of people don't realize is that what's playing out on our earth field it's old news. It takes 2 to 3 years for what happens energetically to occur on our fields. Wow. This is old news. It's just playing out. And the light has already won. We've already created the new earth reality. We're just playing it out here. Now, can we make choices that halt that? Yes. Which is why so many of us need to stay focused on the vision.
Yeah.
Or as a friend of mine calls it, focus on the outcome. Focus on the outcome. Because as long as our energy is focused on what appears to be real, fear, the false evidence appering real, then we won't be able to create the vision that we want to create, right? So it's watching television, it's reading the fear stories, or the fear porn, as we call it. Turn that stuff off. Even being involved with these groups and these news feeds, they're constantly one thing after another. And even for me, it's get out of the conspiracies, because what I've noticed for myself is that if I get sucked too far into those, it pulls my energy down, and I have a much harder time staying up in the 5D vibration, which is where I need to be in order to do the work I'm here to do. I have to continually work to keep myself up there. So when stuff happens that's not the way we want it to happen, I just ask. I'm like, okay, well, how can I see this through the eyes of love? How can I see what's really happening here? And I don't get sucked down into that, our side didn't win, because the bigger picture is how it has to happen. It has to happen slowly enough that we don't have the mass hysteria, and then we don't have the mass backlash that you were talking about. Right.
Yeah, we don't want I mean, we've already seen the riots in the streets of our cities, like just on a smaller scale. But so if you take the riots that we've already seen, where they've gone in and destroyed businesses and blown up cars and all the stuff that they've done and stormed police stations, multiply that times 100. I'm not kidding. If things didn't go the way they are going, like if they went a different way, we could see that times 100, literally.
Right. So this is the reason they've allowed the illusion that Mr. B won. Because what it did is it created what I'm hearing is that it softened the hearts of humanity.
Yeah.
because all the people who were voting for him and were hopeful that he would win, and it gave them that illusion so that they were softened, right? Because they were so angry and so riled up.
Yeah, they need to be calmed.
And that's a calming. So then while they are calm and feeling like they won, then the military can do what they need to do. And it's no longer a division of us versus them.
I just heard something so funny because I'm constantly getting this info from my guides and stuff.
Like I do, yeah.
Yeah, and so Yeshua, who has so Jesus Christ, as people call him, he's got such an amazing sense of humor. He said we gave him a binky. That's what he said. We gave him a binky, like a pacifier. Yeah, we gave him a pacifier because they needed to be soothed and calmed down like a little baby. They're like a little baby and they act like babies. They throw tantrums like babies. If you look at the left and how they behave, they're constantly marching around and pouting and throwing tantrums. You don't ever see conservative people or people who vote for Mr. T or support Mr. T. You don't see those people acting that way, especially because a lot of them are Christian, and you just don't see people behaving that way. They're very civilized, Every now and then, I suppose you may find a radical Mr. T supporter, but the majority of the radicals are on the left side.
But if you're on the left side, what they're being shown is that all that radical stuff is actual supporters.
Yeah.
I'm in a unique environment where I look at both sides of the story. So what I find interesting, so the dark side knows how to use our words against us. They know how to use the loving language, which is why it's so confusing and so difficult to decipher what is true and what is false and what is love and what is light, because the darkness knows how to use our light language. The darkness knows how to use our love language. And what they are doing, they are blaming for the other. They're blaming the other side. Wow. So while they're out there causing the riots and making all that ruckus, they're saying that it's the supporters doing it.
Wow. That's incredible.
Which is why it's so confusing for people, which is why people hate supporters so much, because they think the supporters are the ones who are spewing the hate and using Black Lives Matter movement. And it's interesting being in a house where my family is on that other side, and they think that all these horrible things that have happened over the years, the riots and all of that, the far right are the ones who are making all the noise and bringing their guns and causing the
right. Yeah, well, they're watching MSM. They're watching MSM, and they're believing everything they see on MSM, which we know is all lie. It's liar, hands on fire. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, that's all they, it's like that movie, Jim Carrey, liar. That's, MSM, that should be their logo. They should all wear t-shirts that say liar.
They think that all the lies are being propagated by the not mainstream news, right? The underground news. And this is, I wish I could explain to them, every time we have ever had a revolution, every time we've ever had a freedom of slavery on our planet, it has been done through underground movements, underground radio, underground news, underground newspapers, right? It's never been the mainstream propaganda.
Yeah, the original patriots.
It's always had to be underground movements. And so here we are again trying to liberate humanity, and it's being done again through the underground movements. And it's a pattern that repeats itself, and it's so difficult to explain to people who think the MSM is telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth, when you know that it's just propaganda, keeping people from understanding what's really going on.
Right. I kind of feel like Paul Revere sometimes, I feel like Paul Revere. I feel like some of those, those people who were, doing that patriotic work back then, that were trying to rescue us from being taken over by British, rule. And it was an underground movement, just like the Underground Railroad during the times of enslavement, when they had all of the people enslaved in the United States. They had Harriet Tubman in the Underground Railroad. She was amazing. She's like on my list of people I want to meet when I go to heaven and that type of thing. But everything that has rescued or saved our world in a godly way has always been an underground.
Right. And the liberating the Jewish people in Nazi Germany, that was all underground movements.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually was a part of both of those. So
Well, I was, I've been part of all of these things as well. And I have memories all the time, flashbacks to Civil War, constantly doing that because I know that I was involved with freeing a lot of the people who were enslaved back then. I was part of the good team. I was on the good side during that time when I was here, because whenever I come here, I'm always here to help, I'm always here to benefit the planet. And so, yeah, I remember that. And then I think about what I'm doing now as kind of a truther and, sharing with people. And I don't do it all over my feed like everyone else does, because I don't want to get shut down, because I'm here as a spiritual teacher and I really need to be doing what I do, which is helping people spiritually. So I keep all the political posts off of my Facebook feed, and I don't talk about the health stuff either, like the face coverings and the jabs. I don't talk about that on my page, because when you talk about that, they shut you down. So what I do is I do it undercover, very covert. I have covert ways of doing all that. I'm still doing it. I'm just doing it in a covert underground. I'm using underground methods to get the message out there.
Yeah, and that's not even something that I prefer to even go into. I mean, I'm here to teach possibilities, not what presently is. I think it's really good to know what's presently happening on the planet. So I tuned in and asked what's happening on the planet. But I want to look at it from a spiritual perspective.
Right.
And so that's what my focus is and has been. I'm really here to grow the light. And I think the important thing is to understand that everybody has their role. And so a lot of people are in judgment about the people who are the tunnel diggers, the people who are the exposers, the people who are the conspiracy theorists, if you will, and all of that. There's so much judgment about them, but they're playing a very important role. That is not my role. I'm not here to expose that. I'm here to teach.
Right, me too.
How to grow the light and how to stay focused on the vision. So it's important to know what's happening, so that, because you can't heal a wound if you don't even know the wound exists, right?
Right. That's
so
true.
We have to look and acknowledge that, in fact, there is corruption on our planet, and that there are what I call diseased souls, right? So there are beings who are out of ease, and they are using their own sickness, their own illness and greed and suffering to propagate that onto other people. And that's how we look at them, through the eyes of compassion. I'm not one of those people that says round them all up and hang them. That's not me. Round them up, yes, because they are harming society. But I think there's opportunity for healing even within the most broken people.
Yeah, I call it divine justice. What I mean by that is allowing God and the angelics to determine how that person is held accountable, because Ascension, part of the, for anyone who's ever read my book, part of the description of what Ascension is we're now being held accountable for our behavior. And so they have to be held accountable. They don't get to just get off scot-free for murdering 9 million children a year, or whatever it is that they do.
Correct.
So they don't get off.
It depends on the crime, right? The crime and the
but it's not up to me to determine, though, what that looks like and how it goes. I just leave it up to God to take care of it,
Right. And the truth is that for every action there is a consequence. So when they made those choices, they were well aware there were consequences that came with those choices.
They did free will.
No, they don't get let off the hook for making choices that they knew there would be consequences for, and they really hoped they'd never get caught. Because there's such a tight knit web.
Well, that's sociopathic though too. So just remember that criminals who are sociopaths, like guys who are serial rapists and murderers, they have a belief in their mind that they're never going to get caught. They're really brilliant, and I'm never going to get caught. When I can go and rape and murder as many people as I want, I'm not going to get caught. That is a sociopathic, narcissistic mindset, and they're almost like soulless, like they have no love in their heart. There's no love there at all. It's missing. Where it is, I don't know, but they seem like some of those people, you look at pictures of them and their eyes look black. Like they look like there's no soul there.
They lost their light.
They've lost all their light. There's just no light. Like Mr. Z, name that starts with the letter Z, who runs Crack Book. I call it Crack Book. He looks like he's totally lost his soul. There's nothing there. It's like a shell. It's like, you know, and you can't even say the lights are on and nobody's home because there's no light.
There's no light.
The light is gone. There's just no light. Like, it's just, I look at him and it's scary. And he almost looks like artificial intelligence, like a robot. Like, he almost looks robotic, like the way his features look and the way he behaves, very robotic.
Yeah. So my guides were calling these the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
So basically zombies, because they have lost their light. And that's what greed does to people. Greed actually sucks out their life force. So they're, basically zombies. Yeah.
So it's beyond that.
That is the zombie apocalypse.
It is, but you know what? They do a thing called soul scraping. So these celebrities, these elites, and these CEOs actually sign a contract, a Luciferian contract with the cabal. And when or Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, and when they sign the contract, they actually have their soul replaced with like a reptilian soul, or with like an archon, or like a demonic entity. So they take their soul out, they scrape it out. There's a whole thing about soul scraping out there. You can read up on it. But they actually sign a contract that they will get riches and power if they allow them to walk. It's like a walk-in, or whatever you want to call it. So a lot of those people are that. And then there's the cloning. There's a lot of people who are clones. What?
Oh, I heard somebody there. Voice. I was like, what? Do I hear men's voices?
Oh, okay. Maybe it's your team. Never know. So yeah, they do a few different things. They do cloning, and then they do soul scraping. And so some of the times when you're seeing these people sitting there, part of why they look so zombie-like is they're like a clone, or like artificial intelligence, because they use that too. They use like robotic, you know, kind of things. I watched an interview with Khloe Kardashian where she just sat there like this. I mean, she was like a robot. It's like a robot that failed. Like somebody turned off the robot, and she was just sitting there, just staring into space. There's a whole video out there about how they do the cloning, why they do it, like the whole, like explaining it, showing you the whole process of how they do it, explaining it, and and then clips of every celebrity that admitted they had a clone, like all these celebrities that have clones. Yeah, it's just crazy. So that's all part of their agenda. They have this whole, you know, agenda that they have. It's all Luciferian. It's all, you know, they pray to Moloch, Baal, Satan, Lucifer, Baphomet. You know, that's their gods that they worship. They don't worship our God that we worship, the creator of everything. So, and these people, they're very non-human, and they have no love for humans. They sort of hate us, you know, they want to wipe us out. So.
Yeah, I don't really follow any of that. So that's interesting news.
Yeah.
I do know that there have always been people who agree to sell their soul. I think that's been the case since the beginning of time.
Oh yeah.
And they do that in exchange for fame and fortune. But I've never followed up with what exactly happens to them, so that's really interesting.
I go down a lot of rabbit holes.
I just thought that they became basically slaves to the dark side, to the false light, because that's what Lucifer is, right? He's the angel of light, but he's really,
he's really dark.
Right. So people say, well, Lucifer is the angel of light. But my guides made it very clear that he's the angel of false light.
Right.
This is why he uses terms like, I'll make you a star.
I'll give you riches beyond all imagination.
You're going to have artificial light.
Yeah.
And so they'll basically sell their soul for the artificial light. The fame and fortune that comes with that. But then they become basically, it's a contract. And then they are required to do what they're told to do.
Yeah, there are, and some of them have this.
And some of them might be perfectly wonderful people who got themselves sucked into this. And once you get sucked in, it's pretty much impossible to get back out.
Yeah, it is impossible. Plus, you know what blows me away is some of them, their parents signed the contract on their behalf when they were little kids.
I know. Because of greed. Greed makes people blind.
One of those, I believe, what I heard is one of those was Michael Jackson. His father did the contract on him when he was little. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's a possibility. It's a scenario that I heard that, and it's not just him. There's a whole bunch of these Disney kids,
Right.
the kids, the Disney kids, their parents signed the contract on their behalf.
Wow.
Sold them out.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really bad. So the thing is I go down all these rabbit holes, but I'm able to hold the light. And there was a certain point where my team said no more. My team told me, now I see all the truth. I know what all the truth is about what's happening on the planet. I don't need to know any more about it. And now I'm supposed to focus on just creating new Earth, just only focus on creating new Earth. And I keep telling my clients, that's what you need to do too. And so that's one of my advices for staying out of the fear mode is, once you've learned everything, you understand that all the government systems are a lie, all the financial systems are a lie, all this education is a lie, all the religion's a lie, all of Hollywood is a lie, all the MSM is a lie. Once you understand this and you know about all the tunnels and all the trafficking and all those horror, you know about all the horror, stop revisiting that over and over, because every time you do, you're like what we said, a colander or like a vessel of light. And every time your mind goes back to that again, you're poking a hole out and you're losing some of your energy or your light. You're losing some of that. It's coming out of you. So you need to keep everything patched up. And how you keep it patched up is start moving forward, start focusing, because we're quickly manifesting now with this energy. We're like instantaneously manifesting. So if we all just keep focused on what the prize is at the end of the tunnel, there's this dark tunnel, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. Focus on what's at the end of the tunnel, which is this light, this future of ours, which is going to be peace on earth, this more heavenly earth. If we keep envisioning that, we will create it way faster than we can imagine. But we have to do it as a team and as a collective. It can't just be me, Kimberly, doing this all by myself. It has to be everybody. Everybody needs to co-create together. And the more of us that get on board with that, the more of us that can hold the vision, then the quicker it's gonna manifest. That's what I think.
Right. So when people continue focusing on what's presently happening and what's happened in the past, that keeps us stuck there. Mm-hmm. By focusing on that, we are actually continuing to create that vision. Mm-hmm. And this is why they tell it to us on television. I mean, that's actually why it's called television. They tell us what they want us to envision.
Yeah.
For them, because the dark side doesn't have the ability to create. They need us to create it for them. So if they feed us the vision of what they want us to create, then we envision it for them by holding that vision and putting our energy into that. It is up to us to pull all of our energy out of that, get our energy out of the darkness. Yes, acknowledge that it's there, but once we make that acknowledgement, we have got to get out of that and focus on the world we want to create, because we are the ones who are creating it. Our vision's what's creating it. And so for all of these people, and I know a lot of light workers who are still continuing to propagate that old story of the exposure. Now, what I was told a couple of months ago is to let the officials do their job.
Let the officials do their job. I love it.
Let the officials do their job. It's not our job anymore to expose the darkness.
No.
We've done our job.
Right.
Let the officials do their job. Our job now is to focus on the world that we're creating and put all of our focus on that. Yep. If that means writing books, telling stories, starting your own TV shows, whatever it is, starting, online groups, doing Zoom meetings, whatever it is, to get as many people focusing on the world we want to create, on this new world, instead of focusing on rehashing the past. Because as long as we're rehashing the past, we will continue to create that story.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I agree. So I have like specific tips that I like to give people for how do you want to say getting into the fifth density, because everybody wants to know, what can I do to get more there? I mean, I have that in my book, Ascension 101. I have a whole list of how to raise your vibration and how to protect your vibration. But the main tips I always give are eating a really high vibration diet, like a really healthy diet, organic foods. If you can be vegan, great. If you can't, I understand, eat organic at least. That's really important. Drinking filtered water is really important. And taking care of your body, having downtime, doing a lot of self-care, a lot of inner work, like working on your shadow work, getting rid of past life trauma, getting rid of ancestral trauma, getting rid of all of the negative aspects of yourself, you know, just like really healing, like doing a lot of inner healing work right now, reading up on spiritual, you know, topics and spiritual growth kind of topics, which is what I do with people as a spiritual guide. I'm guiding them, and meditating every day, having time with God. Is there anything else other that you could interject into that list that people can do to raise their vibration that you think is important?
Well, so for me, the biggest part of it is transcending your beliefs. Because as we continue to go through life, if we're carrying old beliefs, we won't be able to create a new reality as long as we're clinging to stuff from our childhood. I call them hand-me-downs. So if we're still trying to wear our hand-me-downs and they don't fit us anymore, we really need to just let them go. A lot of us have outgrown our hand-me-downs. It also involves letting go of beliefs. It involves oftentimes letting go of people, and that part is really hard. But there are people who are in our lives who aren't aligned with our highest and greatest good. So we may have to end some relationships, let go of stuff, clutter in your house, mental clutter. People don't realize that just having stuff around that's old and broken actually is an energy drain. So if it's broken and you can't fix it, then it needs to go. So anything that's an energy drain needs to go. It's basically a life purge.
Also, negative energy vampire people that are in your life that you can get rid of.
Yeah. It's a life purge. And so one of the things that I specialize on is helping people process their old beliefs. That's actually what my transcendence process is about, how to transcend your old fear-based beliefs, because this reality that we're in right now is actually fear-based. All of our decisions and everything in our life right now is based in fear. The reality we're trying to create is a love-based reality where everything that we do stems from love.
100%.
Yes. So in order to get there, we have to let go of our fear-based beliefs. So that's kind of one of the areas that I specialize in, is locating those beliefs and processing them.
I love that. Yeah. And I mean, you do a lot of heart healing work, which is really amazing, because I noticed all of the people who are grieving through this process. So I have a lot of clients I counsel every day that are empathic like I am, where their heart is just like going out to, you know, they hear these horrible stories about these people died and this bad thing happened and that, and their heart goes out, like their heart energy is constantly being pulled. And so many people need their hearts healed right now. It's just mind blowing how many heart healings are necessary right now, like a lot.
Yeah. So, well, because empaths tend to pick up other people's energy. So when they're feeling grief, a lot of times it's not even their own grief. They're feeling the collective grief.
A lot of people are suffering from major grief right now. Yeah.
We're
talking about that.
So what I was shown probably 10 years ago when I first started doing this kind of work is that fear actually encapsulates the heart. It's kind of like, so it like clogs the arteries so the heart can't work to its full potential.
Wow.
So what we need to do is heal the heart so that it can work to its full potential. That's why you have these people who basically sold their soul, if you will. Their heart, they literally have no heart light left. The heart muscle is working, but the heart light is so powerful. It has the ability to transmute everything. It transmutes our own shadows. It transmutes everything because that's how powerful it is. It's the light of God that is magnified in our own heart. But fear keeps the heart from working to its full potential. And so there's people who are so engulfed by fear and that their hearts aren't even working. That's why they're also not loving, because their hearts are clogged.
Wow.
So as we energetically clear the fear out of their heart, the heart's able to work again to its full potential.
Well, it reminds me of Christ when he left here, when he ascended into heaven. He pretty much told everybody that his Holy Spirit would remain with us in our heart space. He pretty much specified that, you know, that he was gonna, don't worry, I'll be with you in your heart. That was the words, you know, that he said. They might have changed it a little in the Bible, but that's what he actually told people when he was here. Was when he left, he said, I will be right here, you know, a part of him, like a little bit of holy, what they call the Holy Spirit, you know, that Holy Spirit is in here. It's kind of like when people, I used to have a job where I was manager at a chamber of commerce, and I was working with thousands of businesses, and people would, I was working with thousands of people, and they'd always say, how come you're always so happy and positive and smiling all the time? And I'd say, because I have the Holy Spirit in my heart. That was my answer, was I have the Holy Spirit. I'm full of the Holy Spirit. You know, I'm on fire with the Holy Spirit. And yeah, because that is my heart. My heart light is really bright. You know, that's who I am. So yeah. I couldn't imagine having it taken away. I just couldn't even imagine.
Well, it can be dimmed. A lot of people walk around with their light being dimmed. Like a lot of those people I talked about, their light has become so dimmed that they're basically Walking Dead.
Right. Because the zombie apocalypse.
If there's no light at all, they cease to exist, because that spark of light is what keeps us alive.
Right.
If there's no light at all, then they cease to exist. The heart has to work.
So it is a zombie apocalypse, though, if you think about it. If you look at all of these soulless beings, you know, that are doing all these bad things, you know, all these pedophiles and all these sickos, you know, that they're just like soulless, you know, they have like no soul. They're obviously their heart is not functioning the way it's supposed to. So their
hearts are working just enough to keep their body alive.
Right. And you know, I was shown, though, that all those people were going to Nibiru for what Yeshua Christ called soul rehabilitation. That's what he called it. He said they're all leaving here. He said the meek inherit the earth, meaning the good people, all the good people, the conscious people. We get to stay here. And all of the dark souls are going for rehabilitation to Nibiru. They're out of here. So, and it's already started happening. Some of them are already there, but it's going to be by the end of 2021, what I'm being shown in the future, because I keep getting, here's what's happening 3 months, here's 6 months, you know, I'm seeing everything in like 3 months, 6 months, whatever. Like, I think the new government will be transitioned in about 3 months, 3 to 4 months. I think by May at the latest, possibly. You know, and then I'm seeing that by the end of 2021, there will not be any more of these dark souls on this planet. I'm being told that they will be long gone by the end of 2021. Is that what you're getting to?
Yeah, the impression I get is that we'll basically be, because we've already entered the new Earth.
Right.
We officially entered the new Earth on December 21st, 2020. And so now what's going to happen this year is kind of a rapid advance of the rest of the breakdown. So all of our systems have to finish breaking down so that we can restructure them as love-based systems instead of fear-based systems. Right now, all of our systems are based in fear. So they have to finish breaking down. So what's going to happen this year is the breaking down of the systems. And that is the part that's going to be really scary for people. What a lot of people don't understand is that actually started in 2020. Us being behind closed doors and all of this stuff that's been happening actually was a necessary part of the collapse of the old world. So 2020 is going to be finishing the collapse of all of that. And then moving beyond that, we're going to be going into cleanup. This year is the structuring of the new world, the breakdown of the old world and the beginning of structuring the new worlds. So what my guides told me years ago is that we would have an interim government for a while after the other one collapses and before the new one is built. We'd have an interim government. I believe that's what the military is. That's an
interim government. Yeah.
And that's going to be there until the new system is constructed. And the new system, my understanding is it's not a pyramid with an all-seeing eye at the top.
Right, exactly.
It's very different from any of the systems that we've had in the past.
Right, not the Masonic or whatever they call it system.
Yeah, it's not even a pyramid.
It's a totally different system. Well, I remember Sylvia Browne, the famous psychic, had said that the Earth was going to revert back to an old-fashioned Greek Senate system where you have one world Congress and you have like a representative from each country or something like that, or I don't know, but I don't know how that works. I really don't know.
Well, my understanding is that it looks like Metatron's cube.
Oh, okay.
Metatron's
Cool.
cube, and it's got all the circles. Those circles are actually councils. So instead of having one representative, you actually have councils of people that represent each portion of society.
Yeah.
And those switch out all the time. You're not going to have lifetime politicians, none of that. There's a shared responsibility.
Well, and they need like to be switched out every 2 years, because you have these people like Mr. B, who's been a lifetime politician, who they're not in there for the people, by the people. I always tell my husband
they are not servants of the people. They believe that people exist to serve them.
Yeah, and they're serving their masters, or lord and masters, which are pretty much the dollar, the Lucifer, Lucifer, the dollar, the corporations, the oil and, all these different industries, big pharma, all that kind of stuff. Those are their masters, basically. All the lobbyists, and a long time ago, I was having a talk with Christ, and he shared with me that 95% of politicians in the whole world were corrupt and had signed Luciferian contracts. That's what he said. He said 95% of the politicians are corrupt. Well, how do you get rid of that? Term limits. You create term limits. They're in there for a year or two. That's it. They get out. They have to serve the people. And if they do anything naughty, they need to be punished. They need to be held accountable. They can't just go in and commit crimes. They need to be fully accountable for everything that they do. Yes. Not the system
if they didn't get paid, right? If they actually were public servants.
Yeah, true public servant.
They did it as volunteer work. You'd be much less likely to see that, because there's nothing in it for them. Except to be of service.
Look at how they get paid a bunch of money to be in Congress or Senate, and then their kids and their family, they get medical benefits and health benefits and life insurance and school education for the kids for life. Like for life, they get lifelong benefits. How is that fair? They get corporate jets, they get hotel stays, if you looked at all the things
that's not public service.
No, that's not at all. The whole thing is a big joke.
That entire system is going to be changing.
Yeah, and even like Canada, UK, all of these countries have these completely corrupted governments. They've just been horribly corrupt. They've been corrupt since they were all incepted, like literally since their inception, just about, with the exception of ours. Ours got horribly corrupted when it switched over to being run by the bad guys. At some point when they signed it over to, they sold off New England to the Vatican, and then they sold off the rest of the country to the Queen of England, and they sold off the Federal Reserve, and then they made us the corporation of the United States. And then all of our birth certificates are owned by the corporate, like we're just a number, like our social security number, we're just a number. We're not a human. They don't even see us as human. They don't even see us as consciousness or souls. They see us as just little objects that they can manipulate and kill and do whatever they want to, poison us with poison food and poison chemtrails and poison in the water, all of that. They just see us as little numbers that they can manipulate. It's going to all go away, and I'm excited. I can't wait for it to get the heck off my planet. And I'm so impatient too. I had a psychic tell me years ago, she said, your lesson in this lifetime is patience. That's what she told me, because it's like, I want this now. Like, I want them all off my planet. I want all the evil ones off my planet, all the dark souls. I just want them get off my planet now. Seriously. I want this planet to be a Christ consciousness planet of peace and love and togetherness and unity and lots of hugs and, everybody hug each other, that's what I want. So,
yeah. And evolution is a process. So, if it all happened all at once, we would have mass hysteria, and that would defeat the entire purpose of trying to light.
I know. Right. I know. So it has to go in stages. It's in little stages and little bits at a time. And as somebody pointed out to me last night, last night, that in the last few days or something, 82 politicians mysteriously drowned in the last few days. Yeah.
That's interesting.
And this was all over the world. Some of them in the US, some of them were senators, congressmen, whatever. They died of drowning. Every one of them on their death in the news like Reuters or BBC, wherever the news was reported that they died, it was drowning. And there were some that didn't die of drowning. They died of weird stuff like car accident, drug overdose, da 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 da. But a lot of them, it said drowning. 82 politicians. And you know what he told me? He said, Kimberly, the ones on this list, he said, I know all these names. I know them because he's worked with government stuff. He said, I know all these names, and these people are the worst of the worst. That's what he said. He said, these are the worst of the worst, and they're all gone. They've all been executed.
Yeah. So what I was shown a while ago was that they would be able to, in order to save face, one, to save face, and two, to prevent mass hysteria, to what's really happening, is that they would be able to choose their death story. It's just fascinating that many of them chose the drowning.
I wonder why they all chose drowning. So here's an idea that somebody said to me.
So drowning is symbolic of being in over their head.
They're in over their head, and also draining the swamp. Swamp is water. And then you also have the fact that a lot of them are on boats. A lot of them have been hiding out on their boats, and a lot of them have been using their boats for the trafficking. Oh, that's so what if some of them were on boats and they blew up their boats? And that's
I don't know. I don't know. I just, what I was just told is that they would disappear, that a lot of the dark people on our planet would disappear. And I had somebody, because I had made this comment to my YouTube channel back in December that they would disappear, and he said, I don't see any people disappearing. And I said, okay, it's not like they're going to just be vaporized. Right. They won't be there in positions anymore. They will just not be heard about anymore. And people won't even care that they're missing.
They won't care. Nobody will care, especially when I'm told that these people are the worst of the worst.
Yeah, people won't care. There will be people who are like, oh, I'm glad that person's gone because they made my life miserable.
Right.
But it's not going to make the news. There's not going to be, as much as people would like to see the tribunals and the live hangings, it's not going to happen because the hearts of humanity could not handle that much trauma. It's not going to happen that way. But a lot of people will just disappear.
But anyway, so yeah, we've been talking for a long time. You and I could probably talk about these subjects for hours on end because there is really so much to talk about. But before we leave, do you want to, I'm going to let you finish off with what are some advice or things that you can offer people to help them get more into 5D? Like what are things they should be doing like right now, this second, that you feel is most important?
Well, obviously meditating, or I do a walking meditation. So I exercise and meditating at the same time. I do yoga. But the biggest part for me is surrounding myself with people who are like-hearted.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, because if we're surrounding ourselves with the naysayers and the people that are constantly projecting energy at us, it's a lot harder just to stay on our spiritual high, if you will. And the other thing that I do is to protect my field. I protect my field every single day. In the morning when I get up and at night before I go to bed, I do a clearing and protection. If I'm out someplace, I'll quickly do a quick smudging of other people's energies. Be really careful where I invest my thoughts. So if I see an article that feels that the ego wants to read the fear-based articles, right?
Right.
And I listen, wait, should I read this? And the answer is no, don't read it. You really don't need to know that. There's a clearing and protection tool that's on my website that will teach people how to do their own clearing and protection. It's one that I've recorded that I use for myself. But the reason I recorded it is because I want other people to know how a clearing and protection works so that they can do it on themselves.
Oh, I love that. That's great. Yeah. I give those same things to my clients, but I want my clients to also go and get those from other places too, because you cannot have enough. Like even if they got mine, they got yours, they still could use 4 or 5 others, and they're all like, I think you need to have a whole toolbox full of all this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
And then you get bored doing the same one over and over. So like if you said the same protection prayer day after day for the rest of your life, you'd go mad. You need to like change it up. And you need to try, I really recommend that you go to Victoria's website and you check out her her tool, her protection tool, because even though I have an amazing protection tool, so does she, and so does a lot of other light workers. And it's really important for you to change it up and to do different things every day, so that it's a little more fun and interesting, and it doesn't just bore you to tears and you get tired of it. You don't want to get worn out and tired of something. So it's
well, and not only that, but when you get, it's when you, I think Yeshua said something about this, the same prayer every day. I remember seeing something about that, if you do the same thing every day, it starts to just turn into lip service.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean anything anymore.
It doesn't mean anything
anymore. So you're just going through the motions. You're going through the motions, right?
Correct. And then it loses its efficacy. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. What I'm seeing is it's like, hey, you take the same medication every day, and after a while, your body doesn't respond to the medication.
Right? Oh my gosh, so true.
It's the same kind of thing. If you're just repeating lip service every day, it loses its efficacy. So
yes. Yeah. So as much as I love my protection, please go to Victoria's website and get hers, and also research other protection exercises and use them, because it will be more meaningful for you when you do these different ones. I agree 100%. I think that's awesome.
And it's not just about doing mine. The reason I recorded it is to give people a sample of what it's like to do their own, because it's important that our words become our own. If we're playing somebody else's protection tool, you're not going to get the protection from it. It has to come from our own lips, so they can listen to my protection tool, learn how to do their own, and start to integrate that process as their own. The words have to come from them, because our word is law.
Yeah, I agree.
And just listening to someone else's commands, it's not the same.
No.
As creating our own commands. So this is a sample protection tool that people can use to learn how to integrate the process into their own lives.
Yeah. And I think it's important for people to meditate and maybe come up with their own like protection ritual that they intuit that is made for them, something custom, because once you start really learning how to hear God's voice or hear your angels or your guides, you can come up with these things yourself. You don't even need other people to help you. My biggest thing is teaching people how to be their own guru. Right. I don't want people to have to go to other people for guru. I want them to be their own guru, because we all have the ability to patch right into Mother, Father, God, and the archangels and the angels and our own angels and guides. We all have this ability to patch into I call it the universe radio station, or whatever, interstellar highway, whatever you want to call it. Right. We all have the ability to plug into that once we get rid of our calcified pineal gland situation, which is why I have a pineal decalcification protocol that I send people, so that they can open their third eye and that they can plug in directly through sitting quietly in meditation and quieting their mind and their thoughts and all of that, and listening, and then they can get their own personal protection.
Right. Which is the reason I did it, is that people need to know how to do it for themselves.
Yeah.
Not to expect somebody else to do it for them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Well, if people want to get a hold of you, what is the best way to reach you and connect with you?
Best way is to send me an email, which is victoria@victoriareynolds.com.
Okay. And I will put that in the comments, by the way. And then your website is victoriareynolds.com, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. And is there any, so what types of services you offer? You offer one-on-one sessions, right? Like healing sessions and stuff. Anything else that you do?
On my website are the 4 books that I've written. I have the invocation, and I also have a meditation MP3. I am affirmations, actually. And these are affirmations to help you create your reality, because I am are the 2 most powerful words in the universe. Right. So whatever we say we are becomes our reality. I have those affirmations on there as well. I have the Fearless and Free TV, which is a TV show on YouTube that I currently have. People can go on my website or to YouTube to see all those videos. And I have 2 programs that are coming out shortly. One of them is the Transcendence Process, which is a process that's based on my book, Transcending Fear. And that's all about processing your fear-based beliefs. And then I have another program coming out that's called Grow Your 6D Money Tree. And it's about teaching people how to grow prosperity in their therapy.
Oh, I love that. That sounds wonderful. Lots of
It
people
is
need that.
really, really fun. It's a really fun program. In the middle of creating the fine-tuning the website for that. And then on my website, I have my free book. So you wrote Ascension 101. And I wrote a book called Rise Up, which is also about Ascension. And we both published them about the same time.
Yeah.
In December.
Good.
And so I actually am providing it for free as a ebook on my website. And it's also available on Amazon for purchase as a softcover book.
Yeah. And I love that your book is perfect complement to mine because we cover totally different things. And yours is almost like, if I were going to add an addition onto my book, it would be your book. It's like, it's almost like your book trails my book, because just so you guys all know, her book is like the dictionary of all things Ascension. And so it would be, and I didn't ever do that. Like I never did a glossary in my book or anything like that. So if you want to know like all the terminologies, what they mean, everything that has to do with Ascension, she's got it all in her book. So her book, it's kind of like, you read my book first, and then you go read her book, and then you have the complete picture, basically.
Right. Because if you don't understand the words in your book, then you go to my book.
You go look them up.
Glossary and go, oh, that's what that means. Yeah.
Exactly. In fact, you probably honestly want to have both our books at the same time, side by side, because as you're reading through my book, you can look stuff up in her book. So
that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think that would be wonderful. In fact, I think I might put yours on my website too, like a link to it or something.
Right. You know, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, because
as well.
Yeah, they really go together like so perfectly. I mean, I never had the time, you know, because I had Yeshua yelling at me to get this thing out, get it out, get it out. It's got to get out, because my whole book was all about helping everybody get through this ascension, and I had to get it out like quick, like yesterday. So I didn't have time to do a glossary or a dictionary or any of that. And so, yeah, it's perfect.
Now, my book happened really fast like that too. Same kind of thing. Got to get it done. Got to get it done. That's the fastest book I've ever written. The other book,
Me too.
I wrote it, I sent it to the editor and published it. But I was told it really needed to happen fast because of the time that we're in.
Right.
That it needs to get out there. Yeah.
Yeah, mine was like 10 months from the beginning of when I was told to start till I actually got it up on Amazon. It was about a 10-month process, but past books that I wrote took 5 years. Right. So for me, 10 months was a really quick process.
Yeah, same thing. My other books took years, and this thing I think took maybe 6 months.
Yeah, in this case, it's because I was fully channeling all the information. 70% of the info in my book was channeled. There was only 30% of it that came from me. And that I already had that info because it was info I was using to teach classes in the past with, because I've been doing healing classes since 2011, or let me think about that. No, since 2010. Since 2010, I've been doing like healing and different kinds of classes. So a lot of the stuff that was in my 30% pretty much came from that. But 70% was channeled. So it just zoomed right through, it was just like channel, type, more messages, whatever you want to call it, type, downloads, messages, type, and then boom, 10 months later, get a book. Cool. So yeah.
Well, when they want to be born, they really do, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And it is it's like going through a whole birthing process. It's, you're in labor for however many months. In this case, it was 10 months, but yeah, you're in labor, you birth it, and there it is. So great. Anyways, I've got to get running. So thank you so much for being here on my show. I'm honored and grateful to have you. And I'm so grateful to have you as a soul sister, and that we're always in touch. And you've been a bright light in my life. You've really blessed my life with your beautiful awesomeness. So I'm so I'm really grateful for you. I'm grateful for your friendship, and I will have your links on the description. So anybody who wants to go to her website to book a session or buy her books or get the free book, it'll be in the description. And we thank you all for being here. If you like this video, please hit the like button so it's visible to more people. Subscribe if you like this to my channel, and hit the bell so you're notified when new videos come on. And share with everybody who you think would find this of value. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate and love you all. Take care and be safe and healthy and happy. Bye-bye.